Weekly unemployment claims fall to their lowest levels in more than 5 decades, even as inflation threatens our wallets. There are signs that the economy is healing. Here to explain some of the latest trends is Alan Jin, professor from the University of San Diego. Alan, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It seems like sometimes when you take the facts and the numbers and you compare it to the optics and how people feel, you don't usually get the same messages. So is the economy doing well? I mean, unemployment numbers are down, but people feel like the economy is not doing well. Where are we really right now?
Yeah, sometimes we get a conflict there.
Right.
In terms of the labor market, this latest news shows that the economy is really strong. Combine that with what we saw earlier when they announced the jobs report, we added over 600,000 jobs in February, and the unemployment rate dropped below 4%. So in terms of the labor market, the economy is doing really well right now.
How much of a reflection does that have when the layman is sitting at home trying to analyze this on their own and they see, well, okay, the jobs report and all of this indicates one thing. How much of that really reflects that the economy is strong?
Well, it depends on what people consider the big problem in terms of the economy. Most people who are working are happy they have their job, that they've never been threatened, and so as a result of that, they might be more concerned than with inflation, which is really high then as of this point. But if your job situation was uncertain, you're feeling better now because the labor market's strong and you're not in any danger then really of losing your job.
I want to talk about the economic trends that you are seeing this year.
Yeah, again, we've got mixed results in terms of the economy. The labor market is really strong right now. Unemployment rate is low, so we've got some good growth in terms of the labor market. On the other hand, if you look at inflation, prices are up. And sometimes in economics, we have that trade-off. When the economy is strong, people have a lot of money. They're going out and they're spending it. Combine that with some supply chain problems that we're having, and that's causing prices then to rise. So right now, again, there's a conflict. There's mixed news as far as the economy is concerned.
When you hear 5 decades, I mean, that's pretty impressive to have a record 5 decades running. In terms of the economy long-term moving forward the rest of the year, maybe in the next couple of years, how do you see that playing out? Because people, again, you mentioned inflation, and all people say, oh, everything costs more, everything costs more. How do you see this playing out over the next year or two?
Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty as far as the economy is concerned. Prices are rising. The Federal Reserve is increasing interest rates to try to slow that down. And so some people then are worried about a recession. My view is that there is a possibility that will hit a recession. I would put it at about 40% in the coming year. So that's not insignificant, but it's still less than 50%. I think the economy right now has enough strength that they could weather this increase in prices we're seeing and the increase in interest rates. So I think we'll be able to hang on there. That's a fortunate thing. Right now, the economy is strong in terms of growth and employment.
Let's say I'm in the market for a job. Does this all mean that this is a good time to find a job, get a job? Are there labor shortages? Are we still seeing all those signs up everywhere? People, hey, we're trying to get workers and nobody's coming to work. Is that still a problem? Is it a good time to go get that job now?
This is one of the best times that we've ever had as far as the workers are concerned. As you mentioned, businesses are still having difficulty hiring workers. There's a shortage because a whole bunch of people retired earlier than expected. And then we've also lost some people then to COVID. They've either died or they have this long COVID, which has disabled them. And so as a result of that, millions of people left the workforce. That created openings all up and down the labor market. And so that's why a lot of people are quitting their jobs right now, looking for better opportunities.
It's a tough question here. I don't want to put you on the spot, but is it too soon to assume that we have rebounded economically, I guess, from the pandemic? Because as we take a look every day and we see the Dow up and down and the markets this whole week, I think it's been 1% up, 1% down, which is a big shift. It's driven a lot by emotion, human emotion, right? So is it too quick to be assuming, hey, we're past this?
No, I actually think that we've just about fully recovered then from the pandemic, at least in terms of the labor market. And we've got strong growth in terms of our gross domestic product, and again, the labor market is really strong right now. So I'd say that the economy has just about fully recovered then from the pandemic. Where we're having problems right now is that so many people left the labor market that we're having trouble getting back to the employment levels that we were at before the pandemic, because again, fewer people then are in the labor market right now.
Alan Jin from the University of San Diego, we thank you and appreciate the expertise this morning. Have a great weekend. Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right.